a choice right now, between fear and love. It's just a ride.
Out of the dark night of ignorance and into the shining light of truth.
Expounding reality.
A population of citizens capable of critical thinking.
We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are.
There's a level of reality where everything dissolves into an ocean of energy.
We empower our experience by insisting on our authenticity.
That's very profound. Very.
Expanding reality.
Welcome to Expanding Reality. I am your host, Brandon Thomas. On this episode, a fantastic one, guys. We have Mytty stops by from Ascension of the Chessmen. I am so excited about this episode. We go balls deep on all kinds of crazy cool stuff. He tells us about his psychedelic experiences, some of the incredible people that he's had on his wonderful show, which of course will be linked down in the show notes, so you guys will absolutely love this episode. So before we get to that, check out our affiliate links in the bottom of the show notes. Food, Forest Abundance, Get Your Freedom from Fear on. Libsyn, if you want to start your own podcast, do it through who I host through, which is Libsyn. They're wonderful. Also, Amazon is linked down there. If you want to buy any damn thing, actually, anything at all through Amazon, go ahead and run it through that link. It helps the show, and it costs you exactly what you were planning to spend anyway. Also, if you would like to expand your experience with us here on the show, you can do so at expandingrealitypodcast.com, also linked in the show notes. That is where links to Rokfin for all the premium content and live stuff. We've also got some crazy cool replays of lives that we've been doing over there. Are too cool for YouTube, the things that we just won't put over there because they're way too informative, so we just don't mess with YouTube on it. They're for free over on the website, so go check it out. Also, socials and merchandise and all that stuff's over there, so it's a one-stop shop. Go check it out. It's very, very cool if that's something that you're into. So without any further ado, guys, let's get to this wonderful conversation with Mytty. All right, everybody out there in listening world, thank you so much for joining us again. We have an extremely special episode this time. We have Mytty hanging out from Ascension of the Chessmen. I'm rocking the gear. There you go on camera. Audio-only audience. I will link that bitch in the show notes so you can check it out, as well as all the ways to find him. Andre, how you been, dude?
Great, man. How are you doing?
Dude, every day above ground's a great day. Thank you for asking. What have you been up to?
Oh, man, I've just been really just crushing it, podcasting, man, just recording as many episodes as I possibly can, finding as many diverse guests as I can. I've been focusing a lot on psychedelics as of late, really finding some good guests within that community, and really just finding out new perspectives and, finding out more about myself as I go along as well. Just hearing different perspectives every episode, man, it's like you're always reassessing your own beliefs and opinions and, just the way you carry yourself, like on all levels. And that's been a process for me that's been super uplifting. It's been continual growth, setbacks along the way, but dealing with those in the best way I know how, and just keep moving forward, man. Enjoying life while I have time in between.
Hell yeah. And just keep moving forward. That is it. That is the advice. I got to hook you up with Carlos Tanner. You've got to get him on.
Yes, I have had him on as well.
When the fuck are you sneaking these in? I can't keep up with you, dude, with this shit. You've just been banging these out, man. I'm a little behind then, as you can tell, but you just have a badass show, man. So I've been on it. It was number 48 to Infinity and Beyond. Of course, guys,
Great
linking
episode.
all the ways. Dude, it was fun, man. You're just, and like this, dude, this is just going to be a hang, man. I have nothing written down. Like, I have no notes. I've got no direction, but I know you and I are just going to kill this thing because that's what we do. But I've also, spoken with you on several panel shows, Alt Media United. I mean, you're in the fam, so this is just an awesome time just to get to hang out with you every time. So I love that you are just absolutely, like you said, crushing it. You just released 75. As this episode airs, it'll probably be 12 more. And you're doing really, really well. So what has been this push to just, content is king it up as you are doing right now? I'm just absolutely curious about the motivation.
Man, it's just been synchronicity after synchronicity, really. Like, there's been a lot going on in my personal life, family matters, relationship matters. And it's just all been like a lot of weight on my shoulders. And I've always felt like since I was a little kid, like I always wanted that tattoo of the Atlas man, carrying the world on his shoulders. And, it sounds cool when you say it out, but then when you really think about it, it's like, do I really want to carry all that? Like, am I ready to hold all that? And sometimes it can be overwhelming. And I feel like sometimes I take too much on, but, really, just people reaching out to me, meeting people through people like yourself. I have you to thank for meeting Peter and Carlos.
Awesome. Peter
love them both.
For the audience. Mm-hmm.
Or no, I haven't had Peter. I was thinking of Delay Lines.
Shampoo. Peter Shampoo.
Peter Shampoo.
Oh my God. Yes.
So
I caught that episode. That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Okay,
you did a killer job on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter's badass, man, and you got to get Peter Gorman on. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I need to get Peter Gorman on.
Dude, I got you. I'm going to hook you up then. There you go. That's the one we were talking about. Okay.
Yes. That'd be wonderful. Just to meet someone that's met Terrence McKenna would be phenomenal. That's my goal, is to get Dennis on.
Well, just get him. You got it.
Yeah, I reached out. I'm still growing my numbers. So that's the biggest thing is, developing my marketing better and all that.
Was that a request from them that you have higher numbers?
Yeah.
They ask you for analytics?
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Man,
Yeah, a lot of bigger guys are like that. No disrespect to Dennis. I love that guy.
No. You have to. I mean, imagine how many tens of thousands of podcasts. I mean, there's 2.5 million podcasts on the planet. So I mean, all of them want to talk to that dude. I get the gatekeeping process. It's just interesting that the metrics, I wonder though, I'm sure they do. I'm sure that they pop up every now and then. And by they, we mean like the people that have that amount of folks that want to talk to him, that they need a system like that. Like, I completely get it. I get it. But you got to have that. So I bet they do, kind of like you and I do, though. I'm the same way with this show, dude. It's just funny because I've been doing the 2 a week thing, and so it's just crazy. And I keep threatening to drop it down to 1, which I am going to do. 1 free one. A part of this show will always be free, and a major part of it, because that's just, I believe in just giving it out. But also, I'm going to be spending that time on doing a bunch of other crazy cool stuff. I got like a bunch of crazy shit going. So I am going to drop this down to 1 episode, guys. I'm doing it. But anyway, so the content is king thing. I keep saying that, and then I'm just like, but like you, again, they just keep falling in, right? They just keep like, which is wonderful. It's awesome. I say like, I don't mean to say it like it's bad or anything, because it's incredible. It's like the coolest fucking feeling in the world. But when and so you want to get them in, you want to get it done, you want to get it produced well, and then put it out as quick as possible. And I get it, man. So just keep going, man. I dig that you are in tune with that. What made you start to follow that? Was there a change, midway through your experience with your own show?
Man, it's just been a learning process from day one. To be honest, like I remember when I was first starting, it was like, I got to ask these questions. Like, I got to direct the conversation exactly this way. And if it didn't go that way, I'd feel like I wasn't doing my job, or like I was failing. But in reality, it's like, no, you're learning as you go, and you get in these spaces where it's just ebb and flow, and you're just in this flow state like we are now. And, it's just off script, and, you're just thinking as you go rather than, premeditated. And I think there's a rawness to that, and an authenticity that goes beyond saying, man. I think people really appreciate that sometimes, depending on where it goes. Sometimes, it doesn't go anywhere, but I would say most often it turns out better than you could ever expect. And that's what I've found, because I've had many shows like that, and some guests are harder than others. I mean, it's just a matter of chemistry and how you vibe with another human being. I mean, we're all one, we all know that, but we do all have our slight differences, and sometimes that can cause friction. But what my show's all about, man, is just like finding the commonalities rather than focusing purely on the differences, and allowing that to like eat us alive like a parasite to a host, and like make us have a negative outlook and see people as like our enemy. And yeah, there is people that will come against us, but can we meet them? Can we meet them differently than they're approaching us? Like, can we respond with love rather than, that hate they might be coming at us with?
Dude, could not agree more. And whenever you talk about going into this with that feeling and that vibe, like that's the way to go. It's the only way to maintain, like, in perfect word, authenticity. That's the like name of it. And when you hit this flow state, man, that's what this is. And I forget who I was talking to. I think it was Natasha Koshenka. You should talk to her. You probably
Great.
have. And so she and I were talking about this whole process, and how you, like, about 20 minutes into a show, like the first 20 you just want to cut out and throw away, because if the object is to like grab, and a lot of people don't understand this is like a lot of these people you're meeting for the first time over Zoom. You don't get a first call, you have no idea what their day's been like. And then you're like excited, to speak to somebody, like some of the amazing guests that you've had, man. You've just been killing it. And you get like excited and everything. And then they get on and you have no idea where you're going with this. And you got like 5 minutes to explain your shit, and then you're on. And it's this interesting dynamic. And then there's this. And this is this, dude. This is this like get out of your own way, which is like my number one thing I keep in my mind all the time. Get out of your own fucking way. And that's how you get in this. And there's moments in shows, though. So tell me one of your favorite moments in a show that you can remember, because I know you know what I'm talking about, where the energy shifted from that awkward meeting, new meeting, just met you phase, and, kind of, is this a waste of my time phase? And then when it switched to you could see it in their eyes. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know I've had those moments. I can't think of any specifically. I will say a couple that come to mind, as far as just, there was that sense of feeling even when I met you, we had already talked on the phone. So we had already, bonded a little bit, having a long conversation over the phone. But
that's the way I prefer to do it. Like, if I have my choice, I always ask for that, but sometimes, on certain guests, and you know what I'm talking about, you don't get that luxury. So yeah. Yeah,
I would say you and Chance are two that I remember distinctly being very free flowing. And, I had things written down, but I don't think I looked at them once on either one of those episodes. And that's a great feeling to have as a podcaster, because when you are in that state of, I have to get these topics addressed, you do kind of overstress it. And sometimes you tend to force things and, get out of your sense of just feeling natural with the conversation. And because it's tough as an interviewer or a podcaster, anyone in those fields of work, like, to listen to the other person talking while being ready to fire back your next question, because there's a fine balance between that, where if you're focusing too much on the next question, you're not really listening to what they're telling you before that.
You're not. And then figuring out people's speech patterns and breath patterns, because some people, I'm a fast talker, some people are not. And my wife actually taught me this. She was like, this guy's a slow talker. You have to talk differently. And it struck me. And I was just like, okay, got it. Because she's a great mirror to me, man. I'm just like, okay, what sucks about this? How can I be better? And anyway, so that was one of the things, though. It's crazy, though, man.
Yeah. It's been surreal, man. Like, to tell you the truth, like, and for anyone out there listening, like, I'm an average Joe. Like I wasn't an Italian musician like Brandon.
No,
Like, he's a natural, killing it.
he played a little bit.
I played piano when I was really young, but I always had aspirations to be a stand-up comedian. I really looked up to Chris Farley growing up. I loved him on SNL and, you know, in all his movies, Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, and, you know, hearing stories. My cousin partied with him at Wisconsin, and he showed up to their frat house and knocked on the door at 3 or 4 in the morning and gets up on the table drunk as hell and, you know, falls flat on the floor, like literally out of the movie Tommy Boy. And like my cousin told me this story, like when I was really young, looking up to Chris Farley. So I always like emulated that and like wanted to be like Chris. And something I always liked about Chris too was, you know, regardless of how you feel on religion, some people use that as their spiritual outlet. And, you know, throughout all his drug days and, you know, the worst of it, man, like he was still getting up and dragging himself into church on Sunday mornings, like just showing his dedication to wanting to be close to something higher than himself, I guess. And, I always respected that about him.
Yeah. No, that is an interesting. He was so devoted to that, and perhaps it was because he was looking for answers. Because he was a very, you know, reportedly a very depressed person, and you know, I think a lot of comedians are, and that's their outlet for that. That's their therapy, is what I've heard. I'm no comedian, but it seems interesting with him too because of his drug and drinking problem and all that kind of stuff. So maybe he was looking for answers, you know, and maybe he also thought that, well, I go to church every Sunday, so it'll excuse any behavior I have during any other time, right? So I don't know, man. Who knows what the psychology was, but we miss him, man. Very talented dude. Because I'm with you. I loved Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, or Tommy Boy 2. And it was cool. It was just a wonderful actor, dude. And we miss the shit out of him for sure.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Chris. Yeah. I mean, so I looked up to him a lot. I always had aspirations of getting into comedy, making people laugh. I remember being Farley at the talent show in 5th grade and, you know, doing the Matt Foley skit, falling on the table, and, you know, had to switch out a few words, you know, flipping burgers instead of, you know, rolling doobies.
Yes.
But,
yeah.
so, you know, growing up at an early age, I always wanted to make people laugh and, you know, just find things that, you know, you could get out of your comfort zone a bit, and you can kind of push the envelope further in that comedic realm where, you know, people don't know if you're joking or serious, so you can kind of get away with some shit. You know, George Carlin was a genius at that. Bill Hicks, I mean, a lot of them. And so I've had a crazy life. I remember the night before my senior pictures, I decided to try acid for the first time, and ended up not realizing like you'd be tripping for so long. And then I wake up and my pupils are still huge, and here I am taking my senior pictures. So that was a good memory to look back on. And then, you know, I was always looking for more, like, growing up Catholic, being forced into Catholic school. And, you know, at one point in my life in 6th grade, I was going to church 6 out of 7 days a week. And, you know, that's like some heavy indoctrination.
That's too much.
And yeah. And, so, you know, the more I started to research, I heard about, that documentary about 9/11, Loose Change. Watched that just before graduating high school, and started using cannabis pretty consistently at that time. And watched a documentary called The Union, The Business Behind Getting High. And that really made me start to see there was so much more going on in the world than, you know, just chasing girls and playing sports, watching sports, you know, just what seemed like meaningless things once you get into those deeper waters. And, you know, as I started to swim deeper, I, you know, started to keep searching for answers, and that led me to a Pentecostal church. Found an awesome pastor there I related to on so many levels, and he had told me he found God and was called to become a pastor through a LSD experience that he had. This chessboard flew off the table in this trap house he was living in Michigan, and this one chess piece was stuck on the board standing straight up. All the other ones were all over the place, and it happened to be a white king. So he saw that as like a divine revelation, like, this is your message to go speak the word of God, I guess. And I always found that fascinating. And he was also a wrestler. I was a wrestler, so we had those commonalities, and heavy use of cannabis at the same age. And so I had really started to enjoy this church, and started seeing people speaking in tongues. And it's like the longer you're a part of something, the more they actively want you to pull more weight and like take on more responsibilities. And right around that time, I had my first breakthrough LSD experience that really opened me up spiritually, made me realize we're all one, feeling the vibrations of the branches and the trees, or the leaves just blowing in the wind. You can just feel the energy radiating off of them and giving life energy into you as you're breathing in, and just having those revelations like that. That experience with my 4 friends that day changed my life forever, and really made me realize, like, and no disrespect to those who go to church, it just made me realize that I didn't need church anymore at that point in my life. And I was searching for, this God, or, just having that relationship, or that connection, that centeredness, that inner peace. It's like I was searching externally in a church for that up to that point. That kind of message was revealed to me through that experience. And after that experience, I remember starting to get into meditation and starting to see the difference between meditation and prayer. I used to think they were one and the same, but I guess which some can make that argument. I think you could say, I don't know, I think there's a quote out there. It's like, prayer is like talking to God, whereas meditation is listening to God, which I always like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the practices between New Age spirituality and specifically Christianity, but a lot of other religions, Orthodox religions will parallel this, are very, very similar. The only difference is the intent. So some of this stuff is very ritualistic, like the split between 3D and 5D and all this stuff, and people are just going to go missing, and some people are going to get stuck in a bad place because they didn't do it right. It sounds a lot like the rapture, right? And so it sounds, some of the New Age shit, spirituality stuff, and I'm not shitting on it, because if it works, it works. I'll make a point about it here in a second, but a lot of it to me just looks a lot of like a superstition with extra steps, you know what I mean? And I've said that before, but every time I record, I hold a piece of amethyst because my wife gave it to me, and there's just something about it. So, I mean, which will bring my point home, that these things like this, like if this makes you feel better, or you feel more connected to somebody because they gave it to you, like, awesome, that sounds great. If you want to burn incense and stuff, I love incense. Like, I burn the shit out of it, but not, maybe for the same reason. Like, there's just, if you want to do any of that stuff, fucking go for it. That's why I think that it's the intent behind it. Like, there's no fear in spirituality, which is why it resonates with me the most, is because it's absent of a need for scaring the shit out of you to, even entertain their ideas, because it's a come as you are thing, just come on, coming out. You're all welcome, and there's no, price to pay. Just be open-minded, and come share your story. Like, what do you got? And so I dig that part of it, and how there's no, bad place to go, because we're all one. Like, why would we do that? A lot of it resonates with me. I think so. Some of the like rituals, that kind of mirror a little bit of religion, maybe a stair step into something to kind of I don't know, buffer the transition spiritually. You know what I mean? Like there's a connection to something familiar, but now you're reframing it in new context and putting a new light on it. You know what I mean? Kind of like the Christians did with Easter and Christmas and shit. We're just reappropriating.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, because it's ironic because at that time I had a lot of fear surrounding getting into conspiracies around that time. It was around 2012 and, the end of days, the end of the Mayan calendar, all that stuff was going on. And I was like, really looking at all these similarities and things. And, you connect all these dots and you start to create this reality that is like terrifying, which not to say like there's not aspects of that in the world, of course. But when you're not, taking time out of your day to like actively care for yourself, meditate, like listen to stuff in your own direct personal life, that stuff can take a toll on you if you don't take time out of it, unplug from it, whether it's, doing a mushroom ceremony for yourself or, going on a meditation retreat, whatever you need to like unplug from that to the point where you can keep your sanity, because it can kind of take you if you let it. And I think Tripoli always says it's like if you stare at the abyss too long, it'll start staring back, and you become the abyss essentially. And it's like you don't want that. Like you want to stay centered and, stay uplifted and, stay upbeat, because, life is too short to have those worries and, not laugh and not have fun and, just appreciate the moment you have. And so I was really bought into the fear of all that. And that kind of drove me into church. And, I guess I was externalizing everything, which tends to happen when you get into the literalism of religion and, taking the book of Revelation as if it's, a historical event that's going to take place on this day at this time. And it's like, ironically, I think somewhere in the Bible, it says like, no man will know the time or
time or hour or something like that.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Which is ironic because when you buy into that, you're like contradicting a verse that's also in that same book. So you got to be careful with that. And, I hope that touches anyone who's going through that might hear this, that that there's other people out there that have also went through that, and there is a way out on the other side. And I think it was genius. You had, Blair McDaniel on. I also reached out to her, and, I think that work is so important for people coming out of religion like myself. And I really found, through working with psychedelics and continue to, want to learn more about, using these things in a sacred way. And because getting into LSD recreationally and, ecstasy, any of that stuff, like the party drugs, they would say, how they're advertised when you're growing up as a kid. And then you get into things like ayahuasca and, San Pedro and peyote and iboga. These are, indigenous medicines. Like we need to approach these things a little differently, I might add. And not to say you can't use MDMA or LSD medicinally. I definitely sure have in the past. And I think there is a space for that. And not to say if you're using them responsibly, even at a festival or whatever, and you feel you're still getting something out of it that's positive. Even if it's negative, I think there's always something to pull from it. Like, it's that ironic bad trip, like, is it really bad or did you gain, did you grow from it? That's the question you got to ask every time. And I've for sure had bad experiences, but I look back on them knowing that I learned a lot from those experiences and learned essentially what not to do and how not to come to these medicines, because I I think they are medicines, and I think they should be treated that way. They shouldn't be abused. It's like, we see in our culture, we see like it has to be in pill form to be considered medicine. And, the big pharma way of looking at things. And, it's ironic because we also have this opioid epidemic, and, people are popping these things like there's no tomorrow, yet they're prescribed by a doctor, whether they're bought off the street or not. And, who's to say how many people that get prescribed are then selling their scripts? And, it's just a continual cycle of dysfunction. And, I just think there's so much rewiring that needs to be done as far as just how we look at health and ourselves and each other. And I think we've all had an opportunity to do a lot of self-reflection over the last 2 years and really think deeply about, what are the choices we're making in our everyday lives, and how are they affecting ourselves, in the short term and in the long term. How are they affecting the people around us? Like, we've just had so much time to think, just time we really haven't had before, because we were always, taking vacations, work. Like, we didn't really stop and smell the roses. And I feel like we've kind of been forced to take that opportunity.
You have. That seems like what all of this stuff is. It's the shadow work. It's everybody just hanging out and chilling. One of the coolest things I heard the other day, and you're the first person I've had on, so I'm going to tell you about it. So, since I've heard it. So, it was this guy on TikTok, and I'm not going to use the same example. He used chemtrails, but let's use pills and stuff like that. Okay, like these opioid prescription or otherwise. Okay. Anyway, the fact that they exist when something natural exists, that would do way better. Okay, let's just put it that way. So, how he explained that all things exist here from a perspective, and your perspective determines whether you view it through the third dimension, the fourth dimension, or the fifth dimension. Have you heard this?
I have not.
Dude,
let's go deeper though.
Okay, here we go. All right, so check this out. So, so let's say that you look at the opioid addiction from a 3D perspective, meaning that it's in this area in which people who are in power, the people that you choose to follow because they're just there, they're authority figures, and you're just like, yep, that's it, because you're in a 3D mind. That's what your role is, okay? It's a mindset thing. It's not a physical place, but it is a physical place. So let's say you look at it that way, and you are pilled out on this thing, and that's what you need, and you live this existence, and you know, whatever results from that, and then you die. Okay, well, if you see it from a 3D perspective, that's your outcome. But if you see it from a 4D perspective, that's when you look at it and you go, hang on, there's this other thing out here, and pharmaceutical companies are actually, and then you take it down all those rabbit holes, and that's a 4-dimension view. And so that teaches you to see it, to ask questions, to calibrate, where you stand on some stuff. And there's a little bit of anger and fear involved in the 4th dimension. And that's why you experience it that way. Now, what's cool is eventually you will get to the point of seeing it from a 5th dimension perspective, which is very interesting, because now you look at it and you see opportunity. So people like you and me look at that and we see opportunity in that, okay, well, we're just going to research alternatives, and we're just going to not be dependent on those kinds of things. And we're going to be more proactive about our health and our mental health and all of the things that get people in the 3rd dimension reality addicted to these 3D options that they have down there. But that's not in the 5th dimension. We don't do that. And so that's what's so cool about this, man, is it's actually here now, and it's something you can choose to experience on all levels. Now, what's interesting too is that you're constantly seeing new things from a 3D perspective, but not always. What you're doing is you're being introduced to 3D things, but you have the choice rather to see them and interpret them with your 3D mind, 4D mind, or 5D mind, because you've been in all of those. So you can actually pick, what your frequency is. And so you can hang out in the 5D if you'd like, It's pretty cool. I like that perspective, right? It was interesting to hear. He was saying it in comparison to chemtrails. And if I could find the guy, I'll tag him in this and stitch it somehow or something like that. But I thought it was cool. I thought you'd get a kick out of it. What do you think?
Yeah, that's deep, brother. I think, it is so important to, get outside of yourself and just re-examine from all these different perspectives, and just because that's really, that's really what we're here for, is to solve the mystery. at least try. I don't think we're ever going to solve it, but why not give it a shot?
Well, that's the question. Is it for us to solve? Like, do you think that it's meant to be solved here?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm going to trip you out. So let's say that you relive the same exact life over and over and over again until you figure out the secret to the universe. So
that's a trip, dude.
It is, because if you think about it, I mean, this idea is not mine or anything, but whenever you go, to that tunnel of light, man, perhaps that's your mom's vagina, and you're just getting spit out again with the same choices, the same parents, the same options, everything you need to solve the mystery of the universe and get out of this bitch is in that, in here somewhere, and it's probably something innocuous. It's probably something you pass all the time. It's probably presented to you constantly, and you're just like, it's, but maybe
you're just like, I'm not ready yet.
Right. You're like,
I want to stay here.
Yeah. I like the sex. Yeah, it's
attachments.
Anyway, well, right. But I think that there is though an element. I want to bring it back to what you said about the experimentation with altered states, is how I'll put it. And I think that we do go into it like that, because I mirror your story quite a bit. Acid trip for the very first time I ever took hallucinogens in high school, as a senior in high school, and then I had a horrible fucking trip. That was really, really bad, and I think that there's some value in that. We can come back to it if you'd like. But 2001 is when I graduated high school, so I'm 39. So I remember that being a catalyst. Your catalyst was loose change, which is very interesting. Mine was like around zeitgeist like that, and then some other things happened, but psychedelics, and then conspiracy theories, and then spirituality, because I found that it was given to me conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh, and that order is what I did it in, and it sounds like you had the exact same experience, which is very, very interesting. So that's pretty cool. But I do think though that there's nothing wrong with doing it recreationally. I know a lot of people, I wouldn't treat ayahuasca that way, and that's just because it's different in my mind. I know that from anyone's perspective, any of this is going to make no sense whatsoever, but it's going to be important to them that I miss the one that's important to them. So anyway, but that being said, I will say that, like, mushrooms, for instance, I mean, God damn it, they're fun. And you go out and you take a few cabs. Even microdosing is meant to be a mood enhancer. So you're kind of doing that recreationally, right? But I get the sacredness of it, and I respect that fully 100%. But I go into it. I'm like, as I'm popping them, I'm like, hey guys, we're just gonna go check out some shit and make stuff be pretty for me and have some fun and make me giggle. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I know there's a million people, and please email me. I'd love to hear your perspective. They're sitting there saying, no, that's incorrect, and they're all sacred. But that's the thing, right? I mean, if you go into it, because there's been a lot of sacred experiences I've had where I've gone into things thinking it was one thing and needed to go in with that illusion to have the experience that I had. It's like the Matrix thing. Whenever he goes to the Oracle and she said, "You're not the one." He was the one, but she told him what he needed to hear, right? So what's one of those for you, man? Have you had one of those just fucking mind-blowing experiences where you went into it to just get fucked up, and then it ended up just expanding your world so crazily?
Oh yeah. So many times, man. I feel like, you always get that sense, and it just made me think of, like, there's been many experiences I've had in the past where, you're like, well, we're going to watch these movies, or we're going to play that Pink Floyd soundtrack
over the Wizard of Oz.
With Wizard of Oz. It's like you have all these grand ideas, and then once you're in the experience, you're like, we're throwing those plans out the window.
None of that shit happens.
No, never.
None of that shit happens. You get fucked up and you stare at your hand, and your friends try and keep you out of the mirror. Yeah. That's what happens. Yeah. Go outside. Go outside. Yeah.
The old don't look in the mirror trick. I think there is a point to look in the mirror, but set a time limit. Like,
have a timer, like a bell.
Yeah. Just have someone come and get you. If you have a trip sitter, like, don't stay there longer than you need to, because,
I go Wolfman.
Really go deep.
Wolfman every time. I turn into goddamn Wolfman every fucking time. There's no other, like, Octurian or some fucking awesome thing, like Mantis, even like some insectoid. Nope. Wolfman every fucking time.
Oh yeah.
It's odd.
Yeah. I mean, to tell you the truth, man, like, even going to drink ayahuasca the first time, I was going into it not knowing what to expect. I had many experiences with LSD and tried DMT a few times. Never felt like I truly broke through on DMT. I think I needed to take that third or fourth hit more fully or something. But I had felt that a little bit, had that breakthrough LSD experience, had many other profound LSD experiences and mushroom experiences. And, there was just something different about ayahuasca though. And, my girlfriend and I at the time, we had decided to go our separate ways. We had our disagreements, and we'd been together 6 years at the time. And we decided, well, she had drank an ayahuasca at the same place. It's called Soul Quest. It was down in Florida, Orlando. She had went down previously, like probably 6 months before this. And, I noticed something different. There was something different about her when she got back. Like she just had this, different energy and, in a good way. And she was just all smiles. And, I think we were both learning, the process of integration. And so she was, it's hard when you come back from an ayahuasca retreat and then you go back to your old life that you were trying to heal from and get out of, and then you're right back in it. And it's like, what do I do now? Do I go fit back in just how I was, or am I going to approach it differently? And that's where you come to that crossroads and you're like, where do I turn? And, I think for some people it takes multiple times before they really start to do the work and, start to get the right outlook on life after the experience, to the point where they're like, I'm ready now. I'm taking this serious now. I'm gonna not to the point where you're being so hard on yourself. You're like, I'm gonna meditate 20 hours a day and, not getting too crazy, but just holding yourself accountable and loving yourself enough to take better care of yourself, to do things for yourself, to do things for others, just want to be a better person in all respects, whether it's, if addiction has a hold on you, whatever it may be. She at the time, was struggling with alcohol and Adderall, and through ayahuasca, she was able to release both of those addictions. And so I had noticed she had came back and, really had this sense about her, this newfound, just difference in her. I don't know how to describe it. It's hard to describe, but she was different in a good way. I'll say that. And so we had decided, I guess we're going to go drink ayahuasca as a way of conscious uncoupling is what we called it. And it was interesting. So I went down there. I wasn't sure if this was the right choice, but at the same time, I was like, when am I ever going to get this opportunity again? This doesn't just happen. She had offered to pay for some of it and was really pushing it on me. And I had every reason not to. I was like, I'm just going to run away, never talk to her again, and, hate her guts. And it's like, I think when you end relationships like that, it builds a lot of shit within you of you're bringing that baggage into the next relationship. And then, it's just not good. So I went through with it and really had a life-changing experience, man, that weekend. Just the community there was beautiful. All the volunteers felt like freaking angels incarnated in the experience, just helping you if you need a hand with anything, and just helping talk you through certain things and keeping you within yourself and not bothering others, and, you know, just helping you along your journey. And, you know, I was really struggling. I remember, there's this guy, his name was also Andre. And, I think he was from Ukraine, if I remember correctly. And he was really having a tough time. And this was before I was like really feeling it. Like it started to really kick in for me. I mean, it was starting, like you could feel it building. And, I look over at this guy and he's just yelling, like all these obscenities and all these different languages and just screaming out and, you know, getting destructive, like kicking and screaming. And I'm just like trying to like stay within, trying to put in my earplugs, and like, I just keep looking over, man. And like, I keep getting distracted by it. And next thing you know, like I'm just in this like literal hell, like your Christian version of hell. And like, I feel like I'm in this like devilish cult or something. And I'm like, what do I got to do to get out of here? Then I thought like I was going to be like sacrificed to the gods and get butt raped. Like it was crazy, dude. And, through all that, like through all the madness and all the craziness that led up to the very end of the journey, that first night, you know, I was able to surrender finally. And it was ironic because the whole time it stemmed from, so I was like sitting on this patio area. It was like a concrete patio, and you have your little cot you're on, and I'm looking directly at the fire, and the fire's just calling my name. But it's like in my head, I hear these two voices talking, and it's like one voice is like, you need to go sit by the fire. And my other voice is like, you're already sitting by the fire. What do you mean?
Oh God.
And so I was like wrestling between these two. I was like, which one is it? Should I stay or should I go? And like, I could not surrender, dude. And the whole time it was like, just learning that I need to like listen to that voice and not like second guess myself and just follow my intuition. And because what it was I was on concrete versus like grounded in the grass, and I just wanted to be in the grass by the fire. And like my mind was tricking me, and it's like, no, you're already by the fire. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you complaining? And it's like, it's that feeling, that concrete jungle feeling, man. Like I was just having those vibes, and it just took me to a bad place real quick.
Dude, that's crazy. So you were close to the fire, but you just weren't on the grass. Or was it like a perpendicular move for you to be?
Yeah, I just like literally got up like 20 feet, and that was all. And from then on, I was like at peace. Like I felt like I was in the womb of Mother Earth. Like I was feeling all that unconditional love I was always seeking. Like it was there. Like I felt all that love like come over me, and I've never felt that feeling before in my life. You know, I'm sure there's been times throughout childhood, but yeah, just getting that overarching feeling of love after, you know, going through hell to get there was it just made me realize, man, like what I overcame in that experience made me realize like all the small shit in life I get hung up on, or, you know, someone cuts me off in traffic, like it's nothing. It's a fly on the wall, you know. It's like once you've overcame a heavy obstacle, whether it's in life or through one of these journeys, it just gives you like ammunition to continue to respond in a better way when tough shit comes up in life.
Great word for it, ammunition, and right there with you, absolutely. And that's what it feels like, because you're out here taking those lessons into battle. That's like your danger room in X-Men, you know, it's like your simulation, you know, it simulates these things, it downloads information, you get a sense of who you are based on your displacement of self, which is a very interesting process. But it's also like, like I said, scalable. So back to what we were talking about bad trips. So I think that what's interesting about this is you go into psychedelic experiences, most of us, not you, unfortunately, you poor bastard. Nobody told you that you were going to be tripping that long on acid. But for most of us, we go into this knowing that you're committed. You're going to be there for a minute. And so what I think a bad trip offers is it offers you perspective into the difference between pain and discomfort. So I think that is the lesson that you carry on out of those kinds of things, because discomfort you can deal with, just suck it up, whatever, look at it differently. It's an opportunity to be optimistic because you're in no real danger, right? But pain is something very, very different, and that's different. And so I think that's what it helped me delineate was bad trips. And I've only had a couple. I want to say one for damn sure, but I don't know. Either way, but in those moments, I would think that what I took again from it was pain versus discomfort, and discomfort, no big deal. So,
yeah, I will say another huge revelation for me was just learning about integration throughout that weekend, man, and having integration sessions in between ceremonies, because it's like after that first ceremony, at least from a lot of people that are just meeting the medicine, you're like, oh God. You wake up that next morning, you're like, I'm not doing that again.
Yep, I'm out. That's the thing. It takes a commitment. You're committed to it. You're invested in the idea because that's where the healing happens, or at least there's some mysteries to figure out in there.
And I feel like that's your ego piping in saying, you don't need to be here. Why are you here? Like, we're great. Like, we don't need the healing that needs to take place. Like
discomfort. That is discomfort that you experience the next day. There's no real pain. You're in no real danger. You're just being a pussy. Suck it up. Yeah.
Exactly, man. And, the head minister down there at the time, he was the head integration guy. His name was Dr. Scott, and he was from Lincoln, Nebraska, where I'm from. And I was like, this is just a crazy synchronicity. And, great guy. He's down in the Amazon now, helping get schools started down there for different tribes and doing really great work, still working with the medicine. And, he really made me realize like all these archetypal things I was seeing in my experience were like all related to my childhood and like, not getting the attention I desired, or, getting neglected in various ways and having to earn love, like, having that conditioned love where it's like, oh, I'll love you if you do this, this, and this, and maybe this too, rather than I'm just going to love you no matter what, and just getting to feel those feelings again, because I felt for so long up to that point, it was like I was just smoking weed habituously, numbing out, not really feeling those things that I had never taken the time to feel, I guess, because I had always like ran away from them, whether it was through sports or, just trying to fill that void within me, and getting to work through some of that. And, having never gone to therapy, that was like my first experience in that therapeutic setting of, all right, I'm just going to listen to you and without judgment, and like hold you with open arms, and, just listen and be a shoulder to cry on. And, that's a great feeling, man. And I feel like there's definitely a stigma with that in men in our culture of like, just fucking be tough and tough it out, you pussy. And it's like, sooner or later, like you got to kind of cut that shit out and like find a balance of like, no, there is a time to like, sit with your feelings and, validate them, where is this coming from, to not let it take power over you or, lead you to have a worse and worse addiction than you already have by trying to escape from that problem that might stem from childhood that you've never took the time to face. And, just learning all these things about myself that I'd never really taken the time to, get outside of myself and look at. And, whether it was like codependency or all these different negative self traits about myself that I just reanalyzed and started to work on and try to shift in different ways in my life, and catching these triggers as they were coming up, and trying to set healthy boundaries with people that I felt I was giving too much of my energy to, and then I was left empty afterwards. And, all these lessons we learn in different ways, but, ayahuasca was kind of the path that led me there and really helped me a lot afterwards. I mean, finding the confidence to get on stage and do stand-up comedy for a 5-minute set the first time.
That's so cool.
Did it with my dad. My dad closed the show. We took a stand-up comedy course together, and we had to perform at the end of it.
Dude, you got to perform at the end of it. That's amazing. That's so cool.
It was awesome.
That's amazing.
So just finding that confidence to perform stand-up, and then also finding my voice on my podcast, it really filled that creative outlet I was always trying to fill. I mean, I'd written poetry in the past, and, I did a lot of drawing growing up, but I felt like it finally was filling that void that was there creatively that I was seeking. And I've always loved having these deep conversations with people and just seeing where they land, no uncharted territory, like we're exploring all regions, and I just wanted to be able to do that on a regular basis. And sometimes locally, you can't always get that opportunity. So to be in a position I am now to have that opportunity on a weekly basis, multiple times a week, is a dream come true, man. And sometimes I pinch myself. Am I fucking dreaming?
Yeah. Coolest thing ever. Absolutely. Could not agree with you more. That's the whole damn reason I started this, was talk to a few people that had written some of these UFO books. And I was just like, I've heard tons of interviews that they've done with other people. I've never heard them been asked about this, or nobody's ever gone down this vein. Or I wonder, the last interview I heard of them was 10 years ago. So I wonder if there's anything new that they have to contribute to some of the new ideas, that are coming out, whatever. And, that was the motivation to do it. And so then it just turned into this incredible thing where I get to hang out with folks like you. Like, you weren't on my list of people to start to talk to whenever I started this show, but God damn it, you're on it now. You were in the calendar. I couldn't wait for tonight. I was so excited about it. I went and got the shirt back on because I had to wash it because I was wearing it again. So, dude, Andre, I think we're going to call it here, man, just because I'm up against a commitment that I've got here. But, dude, this is awesome, man. You are, of course, welcome any damn time. You know that, brother. And I'll be linking all the ways to find you down in the show notes. So just don't be a stranger, man. And thanks again for everything, dude. You're just such a badass. This was great.
Love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you back, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great.
Absolutely awesome, dude. Amazing to talk to Andre every single time. Make sure you check the links, guys, for his show, Ascension of the Chessmen. It is linked down there, and it is wonderful. Also, the direct link to my conversation on his show and his shirt that I was wearing for the show, for the video audience. Y'all saw it. Check the links in the show notes for all the ways to find him. Absolutely amazing guy. Love the shit out of you, Andre. Thank you so much for coming by, Bubba. Also, down in the show notes, check our affiliate links with foodforestabundance.com. Get your freedom from fear on, as well as if you would like to start your own podcast. I host through a place called Libsyn. Highly, highly recommend it. And with that link, if you're wanting to start your own, no better time than now, and I highly encourage everyone who's even got the little itch to go ahead and start a podcast. It will change your life for the better. Use Libsyn and you get 2 months free with your first month, I believe. So check that link. It's awesome. It's a great deal, whatever it is. Also, if you're going to buy any damn thing at all on Amazon, do it through our link. It's down in the show notes, and it helps the show for something you were going to get anyway. Also, if you want to expand your experience here, do so at the link in the show notes called expandingrealitypodcast.com. That is our website. It's got some amazing stuff going on it. My buddy Bo Shaftnoski, who runs the website, huge production help, by the way. You guys check his link in the show notes. He has been doing some amazing stuff as far as adding new channels for free content that you can't get anywhere else. The Too Hot for YouTube stuff, the bonus videos, there's featured things. We're doing the replays of the lives that we're doing on Rokfin over there. A lot of cool things, and it's free. Just go check it out. So also go out into this beautiful place, guys. Pick up a piece of Litta if you see it. Buy somebody in line around you a coffee or a meal, something small, makes massive ripple effects out into the collective. Get out of the left-hand lane if you've got somebody behind you wanting to pass. And of course, and above all, and any damn thing else, y'all go out into this beautiful place, whatever the hell this thing is, and just be good to one another. Thank y'all so much for listening. We will see you next time.